Russia was helping the Iranians target. That's been played down by the president and other administration officials. China hates the wars like this because it's disrupting their access to energy, and they just don't like uncertainty in general. The administration continues to play down the role of those two countries, and it's not really clear exactly where things stand. Are either of you worried about Russia and China influencing this conflict in a way adverse to the interests of the United States, or you think they'll mostly be staying out of it, Hogan?
I mean, I don't know if they're going to impact it one way or the other. I just remind people that when I take a look at these, global issues, you often ask yourself who's on what side here, and
Yeah.
really only three groups against this movement into Iran were Russia, China, and the Democrat Party. Other than that, everyone else seems to kind of be on the same page here. So, um, you know, uh, I don't know that they get impacted all that much, other than the fact that I think it hurts their economy greatly because they were doing so much business with Iran through oil markets and other things. So I think it's a really crippling move, a really shrewd move by this administration to do this because it really does hurt our biggest global threats.
Kevin, are you worried about China and or Russia in the
I'm more worried
context
about
of this
China
conflict?
yeah, I'm more worried about China and what they will do just because they have, frankly, more reach, more resources than the Russians do, certainly. Again, 20% of the world's oil flows through the strait, but 45% of China's oil flows through that strait. So it's impacting, to Hogan's point, China much more, and they have much more of a reach and much more capabilities than does Moscow at this point, just because of the, going on year 5 of this war with Ukraine. They've been, degraded. And again, too, let's also not forget the situation with Venezuela. Again, a key partner to these two
Yeah.
axis of evil countries that we've seen. You take Iran off the map, not just on the oil front, but also on the arms supply front for Russia. Again, I think one of the most wonderful stories coming out of this fact is that we've captured all these Iranian drones and then reverse engineered them and now are using them to take on the regime. And the Ukrainians are helping us do that, something that we should not forget at all in this situation, who's on our side and who's not.
All right, MAGA media, podcasters and influencers. First week of the war, the press loves covering any story that involves MAGA criticizing the president. We saw that on Epstein. We saw it last week on the war. Some of the people who've been critical became less critical. Megyn Kelly, for instance, was critical in the beginning, but now says it's underway and it's important to support America's military. What's going on this week, Hogan? What would you say? Would you expect this storyline to still be a storyline, or the press will move on and people won't be as critical? In other words, does the president this week going forward still have a MAGAs against the war problem?
I don't think he has a MAGAs against the war problem now. I
Yeah,
mean, most.
MAGA influencers against the
Yeah,
war.
okay, well, I mean, like what, 87, 92% of Republicans support
Yeah,
this election. So it's a very
yeah,
small group, but they are quite vocal and they do have large followings. But
yeah. But is that a
again,
problem? Do you think the White House is thinking we got to reach out to people who are
no,
critical? No.
no,
Okay,
no.
Kevin, is this a problem for the
Hogan,
president this week?
Hogan, you know this world way better than I do. I love your thoughts on the JD, the vice president angle on all this too, right? I mean, so a lot of these folks are key to him, right, in his rise. You downplayed the administration, but he's kind of been behind the scenes. I think is he having conversations with these folks too? Do you think, in terms of keeping them within
Well,
the tent?
I mean, look, they're obviously friends. I mean, he talked to them in the lead
Yeah.
up to, and a lot of them were influencing the president to help pick JD as well. This is, I think, going to be, if I'm predicting the future here, I think these relationships, this criticism, whether they be proxies for JD's mentality or not, I think JD is in lockstep with the president. He's doing a great job out there articulating the vision on TV, as any good vice president should and would. What's interesting to me is I think this little piece, though, this foreign intervention stuff, could be the wedge where people who once thought about getting in the presidential race in 2028 were like, hold on, JD's clearly got the inside track. He's the vice president. Trump likes him, MAGA likes him, et cetera. This is one of those issues that divides enough of the base where you could see Marco Rubio, Sarah Sanders, Many others go, hold on.
Ted Cruz. I think Ted Cruz is running no matter what.
This is where I'm stepping in here because I can't handle. I'm going to try and say what MAGA is this, not what.
Yeah.
You know,
Here's a funny tweet.
Yeah.
Here's a funny tweet that a lot of people in MAGA are laughing at. And the thing about MAGA, they can have these intramural fights and then just move on. Like there's just a toughness and a thick skinness to attack your longtime ally in personal terms, and then the next day it's all over. This tweet's funny, 127, and as I said, MAGA's laughing at this tweet, even though in theory it could outrage them. The U.S. spent 20 years and trillions of dollars replacing the Taliban with the Taliban. Trump replaced Ayatollah Khomeini with Ayatollah Khomeini in just 9 days, the most efficient U.S. president ever. Hey, want to be part of the two-way community all the time? Hit the subscribe button. Great video clips like this, plus conversations like no other, full episodes, and more, always available on this channel. You got to hit subscribe to never miss a thing. You can now listen to full episodes of The Morning Meeting and Two Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.